Joining us now is Mary Anderson. She's author and political science professor at the University of Tampa. Her work focuses on the influence of political psychology on political behavior. Norid Dollard is senior policy analyst at the Florida Policy Institute. She's on the board of directors for the Hillsborough County League of Women Voters and recently served as the Redistricting Action Group chair for the Hillsborough League. Norid is a member of the Voter Protection, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Social Action Groups. Welcome. Thank you both for being here. We appreciate it. Let's dig deeper into the attitudes and enthusiasm on the level of voters right now. What changes do you see at this point compared to past elections? Who wants to take that? Go ahead. Mary.
I think there's been some changes certainly in Supreme Court decisions that are motivating folks. There have been laws passed at the state level, not just in Florida, but across the nation, that people are really starting to feel the impact of some of those decisions and those laws. And so they are using their voices to be heard. And I think they're, judging from the clip that you just played, they are motivated to go out and cast their ballot.
Why is this one important? What's at stake for us, Florida?
For this midterm election, couple things. One is with redistricting just having concluded, every seat in the Florida House and Senate is up. We have important local races too. Hillsborough County, the transportation tax is still on. It's still on the ballot, although it's in litigation, but people should still vote. There are a number of judges that are up to be retained in the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals. So it's really across the board.
Mary, you recently wrote that individuals are empowered and motivated when they believe that their involvement in politics will be consequential. Where do you think voters stand on that right now, that my vote is consequential?
So midterm elections a little bit different than the general presidential election year, because unlike during a presidential election year when you're talking about the electoral college vote and a winner-take-all system, you can cast a ballot in the state of Florida for a particular candidate, but they don't win the electoral vote, right, for the state of Florida. That's different in state and local elections, right? Every vote is going to be counted and every vote is going to matter. So I think citizens understand that, and I think they want to make their voice heard. So we'll have lower turnout than we have in general election, of course, but a presidential election year, but we will have, I believe, increased voter turnout.
Okay, and quickly on the demographics of voters in Florida. Slightly more women than men. 45 to 64 is the largest age group. 65 plus is the second largest age group, and nearly 80% white voters. Do you see anything, a distinction between these different groups of voters trusting the system and believing they can make a difference?
Florida is very much a purple state. Our electorate is purple. While we have had a period of, I think, domination by Republicans in terms of the Florida legislature and the governor's office, now I think 30 years since Lawton Chiles was in office, the electorate itself is very purple. So it's essentially a third registered Democrats, a third registered Republicans, and a third no party affiliation. And so that makes the game challenging for candidates in how to thread the needle and attract voters.
And then there's the involvement of young people in the voting process. So those who were registered were very motivated to vote in 2020. 88% of registered 18 to 24-year-olds voted, but the majority of the youngest potential voters are not registered. What do you think is going on with young people in this process, especially perhaps in the midterms?
I think that's a challenging question. I don't know the answer to that. I see students every day and encourage them to vote. One of the things that they cite over and over again, and the research would suggest that this is true across the board, is when they feel like they don't know, they feel like they can't make an informed choice. And so I think we need to, put a bit of emphasis on giving them the tools they need, educating them on how to educate themselves. I mean, when you look at the ballot, I don't know, I do this for a living and I still had to Google a lot of names and do a lot of searching. And, you know, they would rather be looking at YouTube videos, quite honestly. But we need them, that's our job, right, is to help educate them on how to find these things.
And how important it is to vote and to do that and get them started early, maybe. This is a question that League of Women Voters is very involved in. What could we be doing in Florida to encourage voter motivation and empowerment just across the board?
Well, I mean, the education piece is absolutely that's our bedrock. That as an organization, I would also say that we try to engage young people as well, and using the proper marketing and outreach methods to get them. It's like, I'm old, I use Facebook. That's not the way they connect. You know, you really need to know what are the medias, what are the strategies. So some of the things that we've done in the Hillsborough League is we've started getting interns from local colleges who are working in the league. We offer, we don't have a membership fee for students. We try to make it easy for them to find information. We have a vote411.org, which will give you everything on your ballot. It'll give you bios, and so you can make those informed choices, and everything is right there.
So we have concerns about cynicism and disengagement and people who are really trepidatious about the whole experience. How do we get past that? Each of you, who wants to go first?
Well, Mary said it's the relationship between the building relationships and really between the opposing factions and getting to know them as humans and understanding their concerns.
How do you facilitate that?
You have to be open-minded and make the commitment to yourself that I'm just going to listen. Please, tell me about why you think that. It's as easy as that, and really having a personal knowledge and relationship with another human opens up a very different dynamic than, he said, she said, we're right and you're wrong. It doesn't have to be a zero-sum game. We can figure out ways to build those bridges.
So some of my work focuses on how to create a sense of community, and research has shown that when you can develop a sense of community, you're more likely to have trust, higher levels of trust, and higher levels of efficacy in the idea that you can make a difference. And of course, these trust and efficacy impact a whole host of political types of behaviors. So it's building that sense of community, and so it doesn't even have to be around politics. I mean, as Noreen was saying, just be involved in your community. You're going to come in contact with people that you might otherwise not have in your small little intimate circle, and you're going to get to know them as friends and as neighbors. And it's a lot harder then to say, I hate you and I don't want to hear what you have to say, when it's a friend of yours, right? And so I think I would encourage people to become more involved in their community and get to know their friends and neighbors, and try to have conversations with them. And then we agree on a whole lot more than what we disagree on. And I think at the end of the day, we need to keep that in mind. And most of America is in the middle, center, right of center or left of center. That's where the electorate is. It is our leaders that are elected that tend to be at the extremes. But we are all together here in the middle, and we agree on a whole lot more than we disagree on.
Thank you both for joining us. We appreciate it. Wish I had more time for your insights. Appreciate it.